You're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network of podcasts.
There is nothing wrong with your podcast player. Do not attempt to adjust the volume. Hello and welcome to Studio 2009. I am, of course, Mike TFU and Blanchard. Joining me is Steve Megatron Phillips. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yes, and we have a brand new studio. Well, we each have studios in our own places of living and whatever else, but Studio 2009 is the new all-encompassing entertainment media variety show we're coming up with?
Basically, and so what it essentially will cover is, well, you guessed it, studio. No, actually, it's going to be taking place of movies, music, TV, in general, geeky topics, in a sense, as well as some different interview-style episodes, kind of sprinkled in there. But it kind of gives us this well-rounded platform that the flagship show doesn't necessarily fill the need of. And we both find ourselves in this boat of trying to basically want to do more random topics, whether it be about, musical scores from movies or television series, or, top lists of episodes from TV, or a film series, or a franchise of media that kind of encompasses the TV, the film, and the animated universe, and in other topics that kind of pertain to those main elements. And gaming will take place in here too, sporadically. So it's going to be kind of a nice little grab bag mixed variety show, just of kind of more in-depth thought and processes that kind of go into some of these different studios and the content that they produce.
Right. And you think about it, everything has a studio. There's a film studio, there's a comic book writer and artist studio, there's a music studio for musicians, there's studios for video games, there's all kinds of stuff. And I think that we, as, the GCRN co-creators, we needed to start fresh on something. And we needed something that, the way it works in my mind is that, at least for the foreseeable future, once this launches in July, the peas grow there.
In July.
That's about all is that do. Yes. Is that the plan, and plans don't always, happen the way we want them to. The plan is, from now until, I think, January of next year, there are 5 weeks in every month at some point. Like, if we were going to start this month, there were 5 Tuesdays in June. There are 5 Thursdays in July. So that gives us a chance to have 5 episodes per month, and they vary. They rotate. You mentioned the topics. The topics will rotate. It's not just going to be, week 2 is the next film. No. What I had said to you off air was that whatever month we start with, whatever, like say in July, we start with the 30th anniversary of Kindergarten Cop. Well, in August, we're not going to start with a film. We're going to start with a franchise or a piece of music, like you said, or a TV show. So it varies for us, and it varies for the audience. Also, the days will vary from month to month to whatever day that those 5 weeks happen. So it's constantly in flux because Doc Brown just doesn't have enough capacity to handle my crazy brain power, I guess. That brain surgery really worked, by the way.
Anyways,
so yes, Studio 2009, we want to welcome everyone into this new show, this new endeavor, and we'll see what happens with it. I'm excited. I know you're excited. What has got you the most excited about doing this way and having a new show that doesn't have
parameters that are normal?
Yeah, there you go.
What's gotten me excited about it is there have been occasions where I've wanted to cover movies again, and Altered Geek is not really the place for a lot of these reviews. It's more of a discussion-based show around a variety of different topics, but not necessarily for review purposes. And this allows us to do both in the same element. And the ability to change topics and discuss different elements of the geekdom and geek sphere that we kind of frequent, it was appealing to me because, one, if you're doing a movie podcast 24/7, you do have an aspect that you could get burnout. Now, there's some that specialize in that, and that's all they do, and put it out weekly. And if that's like your forte and you enjoy being in that realm, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I personally, over the last 13,
12
14
years.
years of
13,
podcasting,
14, yeah.
I've gotten to this point where certain things just kind of, I'm like, okay, I've talked this up, ad nauseum, that I don't care to discuss it again, or unless there's a fresh way of approaching it. And yes, opinions and thoughts change over years, and there are new renditions of a lot of things coming out constantly, but I didn't want to be, hunkered down and focused solely on a movie podcast or solely on a TV podcast or, music or any of that. I liked the idea of being able to rotate topics and the elements of each of these different facets of media, and not.
We are also. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, and I was going to say, and not be bored of it. Like the review shows. By the end of those, a lot of them, I was so sick of recording those shows and discussing that program that I was like, okay, I could care less if I ever watch this again by the end of it, just because I was just so burnt out from discussing it. Because you end up talking about a lot of good episodes and a lot of turds in the same element. And so now granted, there's some shows that we reviewed, like Beast Unleashed, I still enjoyed doing the recording, but that was a very long year of recording.
Yes. Yeah, and I think with like the rotating topics, the rotating days per month, whether the 5 days happen in each month, it may or may not. Who knows? It depends on what's going on in our lives. But it's going to be fresh for us, and it's going to be fresh for the audience, because the way I look at it is, life is like a box of podcasts. You never know what you're going to get.
Until the next episode drops.
Exactly.
It's like sticking your hand in a cave and you're not sure if you're going to get bit by a piranha or a snake, or if you're going to grab it and there's going to be that cassette tape that comes out and you're just like, whoa, where'd that come from?
Just make sure it doesn't turn into a bird.
Yeah, or a bunch of guys that start pile driving.
Yes. We want this show to be geeky for us. We want it to be geeky for everyone else. We want it to be fresh and new, even though we may revisit certain topics that we've talked about in, like Steve said, he's been podcasting 13, 14 years. I've been podcasting 12 years this year. We've talked about a lot of stuff. And while I love being able to go back to our old content and relink that to everybody else, to have them go back, a lot of things have changed in the time that we've recorded a lot of that stuff. So not necessarily my opinion might have changed, like about certain topics or certain films or whatever else, but like I think I've mellowed in my podcasting career just slightly.
He's mellowed in his old age.
That's right. I'm turning yellow over here. Um, we also, not to infringe on Geekcast Radio or Altered Geek, but at the same time, I do want us to be able to at least have maybe once a month have a topic talk of some sort. Two suggestions I had in the notes that we have for each other. One was not every film needs a sequel, or the other is the 1980s are turning 40 this year. The 90s are turning 30. Because that's how long ago those decades were. I think it's going to be fresh. I think it's going to be fun. I think we're going to make it something special, and hopefully everyone is on board with this. I know there have been a lot of fans of a lot of our shows in the past, like Movie Week in Review, like Tooncast. Tooncast will be back. It's not going anywhere. I know there were a lot of fans of the telecast. I don't know how many fans of Remote Control there were of the quote-unquote modern-day current TV podcast, but this allows us to talk, like you said earlier, it allows us to talk about anything and everything for the most part without having too many restrictions because there was a plan for something else to be done at some point in the past.
Agreed, and I think that that's part of what drew us to this idea. And we've talked about reviving M-Wire and some other things, and I was like, what if we just started from scratch?
Exactly.
Stop reviving dead shows, just, create something new, something with a new dynamic, and then just kind of see how it goes. And for the most part, it will be the Steve and Mike show. With the exception of some other elements that may get pulled in sporadically.
Yes. I have this plan that I'm not going to reveal here in the introductory episode. I may reveal it in the 5th episode or the 10th episode, I don't know yet, of also having interviews on the show, but it's not going to be like our voice actor interview. It's going to be us talking with other geeks about a specific topic that we will bring up later. And I have a wide list of guests. So, that's the one good thing about podcasting for 11, 12, 13 years. You end up making a lot of connections. Whether you still talk to some of them or not is another thing, but I know I could reach out to almost any of them right now and say, hey, we have this new thing we want you to come on and talk to us about. It's kind of going to be in the same vein as Origins episodes are on the Pullbag and All Things Transformers, but it's going to be something that delves into the behind-the-scenes stuff of what we and other people that we interact with do. So there's a little teaser for that. So we hope that everyone will tune in. Those of you that have been with us on the GCRN for the past 11 years, and those new people that may just be finding this for the first time. Studio 2009 is on Facebook. We'll get that all squared away later. We will be on Twitter at some point. Obviously, you can follow at Geekcast Radio for all the other network updates. I am at TFG and Mike on Twitter. What is your Twitter, sir?
At SCP-21.
You'll hear us back in the studio soon. We'll catch you next time, folks.
In a world, there, I said it, happy,